This is the Canon Speedlite 550EX flash, and to keep this video to a reasonable length I'm just going to give a fairly high level overview, but if you've got any questions please feel free to leave them below. It was released in September 1998 and it remained Canon's top of the range flash until the 580EX came along in August 2004, and because it was the top of the range flash it's actually quite well featured. The Canon naming convention tells you it has a guide number of 55, and the guide number is an indication of how powerful the flash is at 100 ISO. The calculation for guide number is f-stop number multiplied by distance. So for this flash, if I want to use an f-stop of f4, it means I have to divide 55 by 4, and that gives me roughly 14. Therefore I can take shots using the flash at a distance of 14 meters. If I go to ISO 200, there's a one-stop difference between 100 ISO and 200 ISO. So in my calculation, I've got to change f4 by one stop, which is 2.8. And dividing 55 by 2.8 gives me a distance of 19.6. So with ISO 200, I can shoot with the flash at roughly 20 meters. Power is supplied using 4 AA batteries. I'm using Eneloops, and because this flash has been discontinued for so long, you can only pick them up used now. That's not a problem. As I've demonstrated with my old film camera flashes, the 199A and 300CL, Canon flashes will go on forever if you take care of them. If you are looking at a used 550EX, I would strongly suggest looking inside the battery compartment. The problem with battery operated devices of this era was the batteries themselves. They used to leak acid. So if you forgot to take the batteries out and then didn't use the device for a long time, the batteries would leak battery acid inside, and that would corrode all the terminals. I've ruined devices myself that way. So that's probably the main thing to look for. The on-off switch has the save energy feature, and the delay after which it turns off automatically depends on whether you're using the flash as a master or a slave, and you can also change that duration through custom functions. If you put the on-off switch in the middle position, it turns the flash on permanently and it won't turn off automatically. This small button illuminates the display for low light shooting, and if you hold it in for 2 seconds you enter the custom function mode and you can change custom function settings. I'll talk about those later. This mode switch loops between ETTL, which is evaluative through the lens metering, to manual, to multi. I'll also talk about multi later. Using the select set button you can go into flash exposure compensation or flash exposure bracketing, and once you're in one of those two modes you just change the settings with these plus and minus buttons. Flash exposure compensation probably doesn't need any explanation. If your subject, which is illuminated by the flash, is too bright, dial it down to a negative number, and if the subject isn't bright enough, wind it up to a positive number. Flash exposure bracketing does something else. It prepares the camera for 3 shots. One shot will be taken at the correct flash exposure, one shot will be overexposed, and one shot will be underexposed. And the amount at which it's overexposed or underexposed can be set on the flash, and the order of those 3 shots can also be set on the flash. If you set flash exposure compensation on the flash, here I've set it to a -1/3 of a stop. If you go into flash exposure compensation on the camera, you can see that it's been set to a -1/3 of a stop, but you can't change it. However, if you set it to 0 on the flash and then go into flash exposure compensation on the camera, you can then change it through the camera. So that actually works quite well and quite logically. When this red light is illuminated, it indicates that the flash is fully charged, and it also acts as a test button. So if you press it, the flash will fire. The light next to it is for confirmation. So provided there is enough light reflected from the subject through the lens, that light will illuminate. If the light doesn't illuminate, then the shot was probably underexposed. If you're taking lots of flash shots in quick succession, you obviously don't want to hang around waiting for the flash to fully charge each time. So with this flash, you can use it before it's fully charged. And in that state, this light will be illuminated yellow instead of red. So it won't be full power, but it will at least allow you to get the shot. And the power in its partially charged state will be a 1/2 to a 16th that of the fully charged flash. An infrared emitter and sensor on the front of the flash provide an AF assist beam. On the side, there's a socket for an external power supply. With the internal batteries, depending on the battery type and the type of flash photography you're doing, Canon say you'll be able to get 100 to 700 flashes, and the recharging time is 0.1 to 8 seconds. With an external battery pack, you'll be able to get a lot more flashes, and it will also speed up the recharging time. The flash has a bounce head, and it also has an automatic zoom that you can use manually as well. So if I just press the zoom button, you will see the M is 24, 28, 35, 50, 70, 80, 105. Then M disappears and it goes into automatic mode. And I've got a zoom lens mounted at the moment, so if I change the focal length using the zoom, then what we'll also see is that the zoom on the flash is changing as well. And there's a built-in wide-angle diffuser if you're using wide-angle lens. So if I pull this out and put it down and look at the back of the flash, it goes to 17mm. The Canon T90-300TL was the first camera flash combination to have spot metering with flash photography and flash exposure lock. This flash has the same feature, and to use it you first need to put your camera into spot metering mode, as identified by the little symbol here. Then you'll get a small circle either in the viewfinder or on the display. So place that circle over your subject, and then if you have a dedicated FEL button on your camera, press that, or in this case I can use the AEL button, and what that will do is emit a low powered flash. And the purpose of that is just to take a meter reading. That meter reading will be held in memory, then you can recompose and take your shot, and it will use the meter reading that you just took. The flash has a high-speed sync feature, and to get into it we need to press the plus and minus buttons together. It cycles through high-speed sync, second curtain sync, and then off. When the flash is in high-speed sync mode, you'll see a small H on the LED display. When doing normal flash shooting, your shutter speed is limited to the flash sync speed. That's because there's two curtains that go past the sensor, and the flash needs to fire when neither curtain is above the sensor. If it does, then there'll be a black part in your image. With high-speed sync, you can shoot at any shutter speed because the flash doesn't fire just once, it pulses at a very, very high frequency. This means that you can shoot at any shutter speed, but there are trade-offs. Obviously, when the flash is pulsing very quickly, it can't flash at full power, so it's low power, so your subject has to be at quite a close distance, and also the flash tends to get very hot. So if you're doing a lot of high-speed sync flashes, you then have to let the flash rest to cool down. The flash also has a multi-flash or stroboscopic flash feature, and to get into it we need to press the mode button. We're in ETTL at the moment, so go into manual and then go into multi. This also causes the flash to pulse, but it does so in a different way to high-speed sync. You need to use quite a long shutter speed. It's best to put the camera into manual mode to do this. And the flash will flash several times within one frame. You can set the frequency and you can set the number of flashes. If you take a multi-flash image of a moving subject, the flash will freeze the subject in different parts of the frame, giving you quite an interesting effect. It takes quite a lot of trial and error to get the desired effect, but this image I took will give you an idea of the kind of thing it can do. This is my daughter's decision maker, And there's actually only one silver ball that swings over the top, but here you can see that the flash has frozen it in 4 different positions. Significantly, the 550EX is capable of wireless flash. It's going to be too long and tedious for me to go through every single detail. If you want to know more, feel free to leave a question below or download the user manual, which is available online. The wireless flash works using pulsed light. It's not compatible with Canon's recent RT flashes that use radio frequency. With wireless flash, we use the terms master and slave. A master flash controls other flashes, and a slave flash is controlled by a master. The 550EX can be used as a master or a slave. You just need to set this switch down here. In the off position, it acts just as a regular flash. In the master position, it emits a wireless signal to control other flashes. And in the slave position, it can be controlled by another master. When the 550EX is used as a master, you can choose whether you want it to flash or whether you just want it to control other flashes without flashing itself. You can put the flashes that you're controlling into groups, and you can vary the ratio of light between those groups. When you're controlling other flashes, you can select one of 4 channels so that if 2 wireless systems are being used in the same vicinity, they won't interfere with each other. The minimum configuration is controlling just one other flash. If you have more than one flash, you can put them into groups. Normally you would have the A group on one side, the B group on the other side, and your C group are the flashes that illuminate the background. You can adjust the ratio of light between the A and the B group, and you can also adjust the ratio of light between the A and the B groups and the C group. The range depends on conditions, and pulsed light works better indoors because it bounces off of walls. Once you've set up your flashes, the best thing to do is to just press the test button to ensure that everything works as you expect. In addition to the features that I've already covered, the 550EX also has 6 custom functions. Since the 550EX, Canon flashes have become smaller and more powerful, but if you can find a used one in good condition at a good price, it's still a very good flash. On the plus side, it's very well featured. On the minus side, it's quite big and it's more powerful than most people will need most of the time. As I said at the start, there's just too much detail to cover in a 10 to 15 minute video, so I hope this overview has been useful. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and thanks for watching.